Sanctuary mobs are now attacking churches in Minnesota.
Due process, when you pull people off the street, you start dragging them and hurting them and not abiding by the Constitution.
What are you talking about?
When you start doing all of that, people get upset and angry. And if you remember what the civil rights movement was about.
This is a church.
The civil rights
This
movement
has
was
nothing
about
to do with ICE.
these very kinds of protests. And for some reason,
This is disgusting.
in our modern era, people think that in order to have protests, you got to be, cordoned off to a certain area.
But why are they attacking a church?
And Department of Justice officials say they are now investigating a group of anti-ICE protesters after they interrupted a church service in St. Paul. The group alleging that one of the pastors is the acting ICE field director there. ICE posting on X today, quote, agitators aren't just targeting our officers.
Yes.
Now they're targeting churches too. They're going from hotel to hotel, church to church, hunting for federal law enforcement who are risking their lives to protect Americans. The Trump administration, which threatened to use the Insurrection Act earlier this week, now calling on local leaders and local law enforcement officials to do more.
This is straight up wrong.
What should be happening, instead of going after ICE officers, what should be happening is local leaders should be sending law enforcement out to stop the protesters from assaulting ICE officers.
But as you're about to see, this is part of a new movement by the Party of Political Violence to find anybody who has not already sided with the mob and cancel them. Look at this. Why are they doing this in a church? Because they think the people in the church voted for Trump. That's what. This is why they're here. Look at this. This is the first time these people have ever been to a church.
Where are you? Where are you?
And this is what they did there. Terrible.
Why are you
Look,
not at
they're
Wimbledon
attacking the
every day
pastor.
fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities?
What is he talking about? So, according to these rioters, this mob, if you do anything other than fight the federal government, you're the problem. You see what's happening? And this is really happening. Look, they're chasing after people just for no reason. Look, they just went after this guy. This is America now. This is America now. If you don't look like a rioter, if you're not one of them, they are going to punish you for it, even if you're just an innocent person. This is an insurrection. This is a takeover of our country. Look, they chased this guy down and knocked him over.
I was with him earlier. Why you get ran out earlier? I don't know. It was one of us. I'm with them.
And this guy might actually be one of the rioters. Take a good look at him and guess what he did wrong. Oh, look at this. Look, federal agents show up now. Get rid of, there's no police. So random federal agents on their way to enforce the law had to show up and save this guy's life. Because he was going to get attacked, whether he's part of the mob or not. Oh my goodness. This is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen happening to this country. There's no cops anywhere. All rioters. This is how you take over a country and destroy it. You do it like this with help from the local government that doesn't care a thing about our laws, doesn't care a thing about religious freedom, only cares about maintaining itself and its own power. Look at this guy. This guy is getting mobbed by a mob that just for wearing an American flag and a freedom logo on his sweatshirt. Look, they're attacking him. They're attacking him. Look at all the press. The press are complicit in this, man. They're not helping. No one's trying to save this guy. Look, they're making him take off his sweatshirt in below zero temperatures because they don't like what it says. They don't even know who this guy is. They just see an American flag and they go nuts. But meanwhile, guess who it is that's out there trying to promote love and peace in Minnesota?
Hey everyone, we're at Carmel Mall. I want to tell everyone, don't allow the hate to make you not live your daily lives.
What if you want to go to church, Representative
Carmel
Omar?
Mall, do everything that you would normally do, and let's not be intimidated.
Yeah, like go to church. Let's not be intimidated. What could go wrong?
All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged
This guy
into
is
concentration
terrible, man.
camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes.
You know what? They're probably all praying for him right now. They're not attacking him. This is what peace looks like.
Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the word?
These screaming radicals say that they're peaceful, but they are literally experiencing peace right now in this church as they attack Christians.
We're here today in beautiful, peaceful St. Paul, a place that we care for our neighbors, we care
unless
for
they're in
everyone.
church.
This assault that we're seeing is traumatic, but
it
what I
is
keep
for the
telling
people in
Minnesotans,
church.
we're not alone in this fight. We're on the right side of justice, the right side of history. Please keep thinking of Minnesota.
This is what these people are doing. They're saying that anyone who doesn't agree with mob-sponsored violence and endless fraud is some sort of problem in America, and that they're the problem. Meanwhile, the hatred is spilling out of these people, going into churches where people are peacefully worshiping the God of the Bible. But there's something else going on here. Recently, Governor Walz came out and he did his best to try and tell people in Minnesota that they should stand up for their rights and never give up and know that the country supports them, while at the same time not taking things so far that the Insurrection Act comes down. But the mobs, as you're about to see, aren't listening.
We did hear that the Department of Justice is now investigating Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey. We spoke with some of the protesters here earlier who say that their state officials actually aren't doing enough.
Wow, listen to this.
He's going to do what he's going to do regardless. And like, there was a part of me that wasn't going to come out today because I was going to listen to our governor. But the governor and Mayor Jacob Frey have proven that like they're not for the people.
Wow.
And like, I can't just sit at home.
So that's how mob rule works. These sanctuary politicians, Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, and the mayor of Minneapolis, what have they done? This whole time, they've aligned themselves with the mob, and they've done everything they can to push the mob forward, to rally the troops and to get them to go out there. And the president says this is part of a scheme to cover up corruption in Minnesota. But now that they're saying, hey, guys, maybe we want to tone it down just a little bit, just so maybe we can win the midterm elections, the mobs have stopped listening.
Earlier, before we saw these sheriff officers come on scene, we saw at least 10 people arrested by federal officers that came out and deployed pepper spray. We saw some of the volunteer medics actually helping those people who had been sprayed in the face as well. But earlier, we did see this scene kind of play out between officers and protesters. And then earlier in downtown Minneapolis, outside of City Hall, we saw an anti-immigration protest as well as an anti-Minnesota fraud protest. The guy who was leading that was arrested during the January 6th insurrection for attacking a police officer.
Look, they're attacking the counter-protesters.
By President Trump. That was met by hundreds of people out supporting the immigrant community and trying.
Yeah, so you're allowed to peacefully protest and make your voice heard, as long as your goal is to not be peaceful at all and is to attack the federal government. If you show up in support of having laws in our country, or if you want to go to a church, you're the enemy.
To get those people out of the area.
This is so crazy, man.
With at least one person from the suburbs of Minneapolis who says that all of this chaos could be deterred if some of these protesters would let these ICE and Border Patrol officers do their job.
This is so
Take
terrible,
a listen.
man.
I think everything would be done by now if they just leave everybody alone. Let ICE do their job. If they're illegally detained and they're a resident, they're here supposed to be here, prove it. Then you get to release.
Right.
Like, I know it's an inconvenience. I would be pissed off too, but let them just do their job.
Wow. So even some of the people who probably voted for Governor Walz and vote for representatives like Ilhan Omar are starting to realize that mob rule might not be as great as the sanctuary leaders have propped it up to be, especially now that it's out of control.
Now, we also know that just yesterday, a federal judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking federal agents from using tear gas or pepper spray against peaceful protesters.
What a useless order.
Observing the operations, Natasha, but I do want to take you back over here.
They've never done that.
You can see that there are some supplies set up, water, food, and also hand warmers for some of the people that are out here.
Who's funding
really
this?
Similar situation to what we've seen in other cities where there's been these immigration protests outside of ICE facilities, and essentially these protesters set.
Okay, look at this guy right here. He's got goggles. He's in full black bloc, right? He's got 3 phones right here. He's over in the press pen. over by a whole horde of supplies. Who's paying for all of this? These are the same sanctuary, bought and paid for, hired rioters we've seen attacking law enforcement. That explains why they're out here in freezing cold temperatures. Normal people don't want this. The only people who do want this are people like Don Lemon, who used to be over at CNN and is now out there storming churches, trying to go viral on the internet for all the wrong reasons. But as you're about to see, he did just go viral with the Justice Department.
MAGA administration and the fake news MAGAs are losing their mind over something that's not even true.
He's in trouble now for going into that church. He's in a lot of trouble.
Assistant Attorney General, I don't know.
He's defending himself right now.
Hammett.
He's a journalist, doesn't even know who the assistant AG is.
I had no affiliation to that organization.
Oh, you don't?
I didn't even know they were going to this church until we followed them there. We were there chronicling protests. Once the protest started,
that didn't work for the January 6th people. I didn't know. Didn't work for them.
Report on it and talk to the people who were involved, which included the pastor, members
Why
of the
should it
church,
work for
and
him?
members of the organization. That's it.
It's
called journalism.
Oh, so it's journalism now. When you do something wrong, it's called journalism. That's the excuse. Well, that doesn't work in America. We have laws against this kind of thing. Look at this quote right here. A house of worship is not a public forum for your protest. It is a space protected from exactly such acts by federal, criminal, and civil laws. Nor does the First Amendment protect journalism, which is actually disrupting a prayer service, said Harmeet Dillon, the Justice Department's assistant AG. You are on notice, she wrote. Oh, so now Mr. Don Lemon is getting investigated. Here he is in the church, spouting whatever it was he was spouting, standing right next to people who are there to try and destroy it and tear it apart. He got in the face of the pastor.
So Don Lemon goes into a church, okay, and he sees this pastor. This pastor is there minding his own business, doing his thing, and all of a sudden, everybody sees this clip going viral, okay? And the clip is of Don Lemon with this pastor, and the pastor's like, what are you doing? Like, let us do our thing. Just watch this clip to kind of get an idea what's going on here. Go ahead, Rob.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
This is shameful.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to
which he doesn't understand,
to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Okay, that's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding and
we're about
love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
So he's asking the pastor why he won't talk to the mob that charged in the door of the church and is walking around trying to intimidate people and scream at people. These people are not willing to talk. Don Lemon is here trying to make it look like this pastor who's in church is part of the problem when this church was attacked by people who are the problem.
My family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
Oh, yeah, the left. They're always a Christian.
Thank you very much.
They always love Jesus
Rob,
when it's time to attack
context
people.
Of this. This is what? This is at a church, I believe, in Minneapolis, right?
Yes, it's in St. Paul. From what I found, the church is in St. Paul. The pastor that is at the church also works for the local ICE organization, and that is why the protesters showed up to protest his church service. But apparently what they violated was called the FACE Act, which prohibits you stopping people in a house of worship, and that's punishable by up to 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine.
That's why Don Lemon's upset.
Well, okay. I know from time to time I speak about evil on this podcast, and I want people to know I'm not doing it out of repetitiveness. I'm not doing it because I have a lack of content. I just want to show people over and over what we're dealing with. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, it talks about not flesh and blood, but about evil people, okay? I honestly think Minnesota is cursed. In 2024, Rob has a video. Rob,
it's cursed by the curse of sin. That's what we're looking at here. We've got people who think that what they're doing is good, and that good is actually evil.
Instead of going after ICE officers, what should be happening is local leaders should be sending law enforcement out to stop the protesters.
And they should be protecting all their residents,
doing nothing
not just the mobs.
Their job.
You wouldn't need the Insurrection Act if state and local officers were doing their job and maintaining peace.
Minneapolis Mayor Frye, despite being under investigation by the Department of Justice, doubling down, calling federal immigration officers' presence in the city an invasion.
That's not helping.
We have about 600 police officers in total in Minneapolis, and there's somewhere in the range of 3,000 ICE agents and border control. They're indiscriminately taking people off the street.
No, they're not.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has floated the idea of Minneapolis officials creating safe zones where protesters can stay and peacefully protest, similar to what we've seen in Illinois outside of the ICE facility in Chicago there.
The mobs don't want a safe zone. This is their sanctuary city. The whole place is a safe zone for them. And these leaders, they are in a really tough spot right now because they have brought these mobs to the point of no return, where they're now going into houses of worship and going after people who are peaceful. The opposite of what a peaceful protest is supposed to be about. And if they go out and they say, hey, listen, you guys, we want you to stand up to the federal government. We're being invaded. This is terrible. We've got this tyrant in the White House who's trying to take our place over. But to stop him, what I need you to do is I need you to stay in this little designated protest zone. And if you leave that zone, I'm going to have my police arrest you. They can't do that. The mobs now totally run this place. And these leaders, they know it. That's why they're not trying to stop this. I think the president may have to put his foot down on this because it doesn't look like the leaders here are going to be able to do it without losing the support of the radicals they've been cultivating.
Troops getting ready to deploy to Minnesota as Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frye cries foul, asking me recently if it's all about blue state bias. Watch.
I would just ask you, why is the largest scale immigration enforcement action taking place where we don't even have that many undocumented immigrants? Why would it not take place in Texas or Florida or Utah, where you do actually have those large numbers of undocumented immigrants? The truth is, it's not about murder or crime. It's not.
You mentioned Texas and Florida. You just had a surge in Louisiana, and you didn't see any of the commotion that you are seeing now in your city because
Isn't that interesting?
All of those states fully cooperate with ICE detainers.
Right.
And the proof is in the numbers. Since April, Florida has arrested more than 10,000 illegal aliens compared to Minnesota, where nearly 500 have been released since President Trump took office. Florida GOP Congressman and gubernatorial candidate Byron Donalds joins us now. Congressman, thank you for taking time. Your reaction to Jacob Frye, mayor of Minneapolis, basically saying that this is blue state bias.
Yeah, he has to say that because his mobs are in charge now.
Jacob Frye is a fool. Everybody knows he's a fool. He's a democratic socialist. He does not want to uphold the Constitution. He does not want to uphold the rule of law. You want to compare Florida and Minneapolis? Governor Ron DeSantis, by the way, the best governor in the country.
You would never have this in Florida. Why? Because the local police would go there and arrest all these people. These people are only on the streets in Minneapolis because their leaders told them to take to the streets. Their leaders told them they were being invaded. Their leaders told them, hey, we're not going to have the local police come after you and do anything. We don't have designated protest zones. You can do whatever you want, and we're not going to stop you because we feel as angry about this as you do. That's why they're on the streets. They are literally being told that good is evil, and evil, which is what they're doing, is good. That's what we're looking at here. That's what I think anyways. What do you think? I'll see you in the next video.